In this compilation, we will debunk iconic Jamaican folklores, from the Rosal Great House and the Lover's Leap to the tale of Flatbridge and the Yallahs Ponds. Get ready to uncover the truths behind these captivating stories and much more.
Rosal is an 18th century plantation manor house and the home of Jamaica's most famous ghost, the White Witch of Rosal. Of the 700 great houses that once served as the homes of Jamaica's wealthy plantation owners, only 15 remain today, the others having been burned to the ground by slaves during the Great Jamaican Slave Revolt of 1831 to 32. Of these remaining manor houses, Rosal is the most well-known and the most infamous. Welcome back to Elite Jamaica, the place you come to learn about Jamaica and Jamaicans. If it's your first time joining me here, consider subscribing to the channel by clicking that red subscribe button, and do remember to turn on notifications by clicking that bell icon so you never miss any of my updates. The story of Rosal begins in the year 1746 when an Englishman by the name of Henry Fanning, in preparation for his upcoming marriage to Rosa Kelly, the daughter of Irish immigrants living in Jamaica, purchased a 290-acre plot of land to cultivate and build a home on. Henry and Rosa were married in 1747, but unfortunately, Henry died just a few short months after the wedding. 3 years later, in 1750, Rosa married George Ash, a wealthy landowner in St. James Parish. Ash immediately set about building a beautiful mansion house for Rosa. Many believe that he named Rosal in her honor, but it appears more likely that it was actually named for the Rose family, to which George was closely associated. Sadly, George died in 1752, shortly after construction of the home was completed. A year later, Rosa married Norwood Witter, a plantation owner and widower from Westmoreland. The marriage was by all accounts an unhappy one. Witter apparently spent all of his wife's money and left her with considerable debt. The unfortunate union ended with Witter's death in 1767. In 1768, Rosa married John Palmer, the owner of the neighboring Palmyra estate and the custos of St. James Parish. Palmer was also a widower who had 2 sons living in England. John and Rosa had a happy marriage and lasted until Rosa's death in 1790. John died 7 years later in 1797. Because John and Rosa had no children together, the Rosal and Palmyra estates were left in trust to John's sons in England. The sons never went to Jamaica to claim the estate, however, and neither had any children to pass the estate on to. So upon their deaths, the ownership of the estates passed to Palmer's grandnephew, John Rose Palmer. In 1818, John Rose Palmer moved to Jamaica and took charge of Rosal. Soon afterward, he married Annie Patterson, making her Annie Palmer, and it is she who became known as the White Witch of Rosal. There are, as with most legends, many variations to the story of the White Witch of Rosal, but there are common threads that run through all versions. It is those common threads that will be used to tell the story here. As the legend goes, Annie Palmer was born Annie Patterson, the daughter of an English mother and an Irish father. When Annie was just 10 years old, the family moved to Haiti. There, Annie learned voodoo from her Haitian nanny. When her parents later died of yellow fever, Annie was left to be raised by the nanny. Under whose continued tutelage, she became an expert in voodoo. At the age of 18, following the death of her nanny, Annie moved to Jamaica in search of a rich husband. It is here that she met and married John Palmer, who was by this time the owner of the Rosal estate. Within a few months of the wedding, Annie began to tire of her husband. She started taking slaves as lovers. When John caught her at this, he beat her with a riding crop. The next day, John was dead. It was believed that Annie had killed him by poisoning his coffee. With John dead, Rosal went to Annie, who now had the estate to herself. Thus began her reign of terror. She continued to take slaves as lovers, murdering them when she became tired of them. She would regularly torture her slaves and even kill those who displeased her. She set traps all around the property so that the slaves could not escape. Slaves that worked in the house and had access to the kitchen were required to whistle whenever they were around food, so that she would know they were not helping themselves to any of it. They could not whistle with their mouths full. If any were caught not whistling, she would cut their heads off as punishment for the supposed theft of food. Due to her extreme cruelty and regular practice of voodoo, the slaves took to calling her White Witch of Rosal. Annie married 2 more times, murdering both husbands for their money. It is said that she killed her second husband by stabbing him in the chest while he was sleeping. She then poured boiling oil in his ears to make sure he was dead. She killed her third husband by strangulation, with the help of her slave lover, Tapu. Annie's downfall began when she fell for an Englishman by the name of Robert Rutherford. Rutherford had no interest in her, as he was in love with Tapu's granddaughter. To get the granddaughter out of the way, Annie cast a voodoo spell on her, known as an Old Egg. The spell was said to bring about a visit from a ghost that would cause the person whom it visited to slowly wither and die. Tapu became so angered at the death of his granddaughter that he attacked Annie and strangled her to death. The slaves took her body and buried it in a deep hole on the estate. They then burnt all of her possessions for fear they might be tainted by her spirit. Then a voodoo ritual was carried out to ensure that her spirit could not escape its deep grave. The ritual was however performed incorrectly, freeing Annie's ghost to haunt Rosal. It is believed that Rosal escaped the fate of most of the other great houses during the slave rebellion because the slaves believed that burning the house down would release Annie's spirit from the property, freeing it to go wherever it chose. It is also said that subsequent owners of the estate met with early and often gruesome ends, and that this is why the great house has stood empty for more than 130 years. This legend makes for a great ghost story and has proven a boom to Jamaican tourism, especially at Rosal. But a ghost story is all it is. It could not be further from the true story of Annie Palmer. Now let's take a look at the true story of Annie Palmer. The true story of Annie Palmer is certainly much less dramatic than the legend. Annie Palmer was born Annie Mary Patterson, a Jamaican of Scots descent. She was not brought up in Haiti, nor did she have an Haitian nanny. In 1820, she did marry John Rose Palmer, the great-nephew of the original John Palmer. John Rose Palmer was Annie's first and only husband. There is little known about their life together, but it seems to have been a relatively normal and peaceful existence. Their time at Rosal was a short one, and neither of them died there. The huge debts attached to the Rosal and Palmyra estates were more than John Rose Palmer could absorb, or the estates recover from. Both properties eventually passed into the hands of receivers. The Rosal Great House stood abandoned for more than 130 years, falling into a terrible state of disrepair, before a massive restoration returned to its former glory. Annie Palmer did not kill her husband, or anyone else. John died in 1827 of natural causes. There is also no record of her ever having tortured or mistreated a slave. In fact, the estate had been cared for by just 1 or 2 slaves for years, and once it was turned over to the receivers, John and Annie kept no slaves at all. When John died, what little interest Annie still had in the estate was sold for £200. When Annie herself died in 1846, 15 years after she was supposedly murdered by her slave lover, she left what little she had to her goddaughter, Geola Mary Spence. So how did such an innocent woman, living such a quiet and uneventful life, become the subject of such a horrendous story? How did Annie Palmer become the White Witch of Rosal? The seeds of the legend were sown in 1868 when a Falmouth newspaper editor published a booklet containing many of the elements of the current tale. The difference was that this story had Rosa Palmer as the White Witch, and the murders and other terrible deeds attributed to her. The fact that she had actually had 4 husbands helped to give the story some credibility, and as happens with legends, others added their own parts to the story. In 1911, a book on the history of St. James was published, which retold the story, but with Annie as the central figure. Then in 1929, Annie Palmer's fate was forever sealed, as fact and fiction became inextricably intertwined in the Herbert G. DeLisle novel, The White Witch of Rosal. It seemed to matter not to people that this was a work of fiction. Whatever elements had been left out of the legend by the other 2 erroneous publications had now been supplied, and people were happy to believe it. So, is Rosal really haunted? Whether or not Rosal is truly haunted is hard to say for certain, as much depends on individual beliefs. Many people claim to have seen a shadowy figure dressed in a green velvet writing habit. riding a black horse across the estate grounds. Others say they have seen the figure of a woman, dressed all in white, on the stairs outside of the Great House, and to have caught glimpses of the same figure moving about inside the building. There have also been reports of screams and the sound of running footsteps heard from the various rooms throughout the house, especially the cellar area, which now serves as the gift shop. If the place is actually haunted, it can be said for certain that it has nothing to do with a white witch, murdered husbands, tortured slaves, or voodoo rituals. However, it could very well be Annie Palmer, come back from the grave to try to clear her tarnished name. Thank you.
The gorge is a beautiful place, where people like the culture and all of the thing. But what? A lot of people are dying by the river. It's haunted.
Whether you live on the island, visiting or vacationing, the chances are you may well have heard about the infamous Flat Bridge or the Bagwalk Gorge, right? It is a known fact that crossing the Flat Bridge has driven ghostly fear into the hearts and minds of many. Since the existence of Flat Bridge, various families have been left devastated from the loss of their loved ones. If you have never prayed in your life, traversing across the Flat Bridge will most certainly have you drawn to your Creator in earnest prayers. Although it only takes a few short minutes to cross this bridge, I guarantee you will be anxious. So be warned, crossing Flat Bridge is not for the faint-hearted. The younger version of myself was absolutely petrified at the thought of traveling across this bridge. This was largely due to horror stories I had heard over the years, stories of accidents and vehicles plunging into the river. The very first time I traveled through this area, I couldn't believe such a natural, tranquil-looking place could be the source of so much tragedies and heartbreak. Stories of the various tragedies that have happened in this area are legendary amongst Jamaicans, stories that go back many decades. To me, however, I saw a narrow but regular road with a set of traffic lights. Beneath the road, that is the Flat Bridge, a river goes almost silently, yet mysteriously, about its business. Nonetheless, and to be honest with you, up to this day, I harbor a sense of something peculiar in that area. If you are planning to visit the island, whether for the first time or as a seasoned visitor, and you have never experienced the Flat Bridge crossing, here's your chance to learn about the notoriously hazardous Flat Bridge. Now let's take a look at some frequently asked questions and other details about Flatbridge. Where is Flatbridge located? The Flatbridge is considered one of the oldest bridges in Jamaica and is located in the parish of St. Catherine. For those interested in coordinates, the coordinates of the bridge will be located on screen. How old is this bridge, you might ask? It is uncertain when the bridge was actually built, however, it can be confirmed that it was constructed sometime after 1724. It is a beam bridge design and it stretches 45 meters or 148 feet across the Ryacobre River. Who built the Flat Bridge? In his publication, History of Jamaica, printed in 1774, Edward Long describes the bridge as quoted below. This bridge is flat and composed of planks on frame of timberwork which rests upon two piers and two buttresses projecting from the banks, constructed with piles and braces interlaced with masonry. I don't understand that. That don't make no sense. Of course, this was centuries ago, and at that time our enslaved ancestors were used as builders. Yes, slave labor from 16 plantations around the Bagwalk area were used to construct the Flat Bridge. One in every 50 on the various plantations had to journey to work on this bridge, hence the area was sometimes called 16-mile walk. Many enslaved ones lost their lives in what was an extremely dangerous process. They labored digging gravel, lime, sand, stone, and marl in perilous conditions in that gorge. The surface of the bridge was reportedly washed away between 1881 and 1915. I'm not sure of the exact year. It was later reconstructed utilizing iron girders and buckle plates that were salvaged from the original flooring of the Maypen Bridge. And what about the rails? Oh yes, in the 1930s the bridge had metal rails, but later transitioned to wooden ones. However, these were destroyed at some point in time by the raging waters of the Royal Cobury, leaving the exposed stones that now appears to be the only protection that currently supports the bridge. Two piers and two abutments. Two naked stones that seems to be the only supporting features of the flat bridge. Today, the flat bridge enables a single-lane traffic that is managed by traffic lights. When it rains heavily, the bridge is often flooded, and motorists have no choice but to take an alternative route through Barry and Sligoville. Yeah guys, if you got this far in the video, thank you so much for being here. Alright, just this break to let you know that I've been uploading a lot of videos. As you know, I did a surgery on my feet to get back callus from all the walking. Doctor reported calling it cut. But anyway, that's not the point. A good Samaritan has set up a GoFundMe for me so that I can get this eye fixed. Alright. I have light sensitivity tonight. I'm not seeing anything from it, and it never did fix when we did the surgery on this one. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm gonna be sharing that link, guys, and if you really can assist, I would really appreciate it. Also, for those of you who have been asking about the Patreon has been set up. The link will be on screen and in the description down below. Also, the PayPal link will be in the description down below. Alright guys, sorry for interrupting your video. Back to the video. In spite of the many eerie legends that surround the flat bridge, foolhardy motorists often brave the outwardly harmless, if at times raging waters across the bridge. Most barely escape with their lives, if they do at all. All too often, the ones who take chances underestimate the intensity of the river below. Once safely across, motorists breathe a sigh of relief for having made it across the bridge. Today though, a new and expansive North Coast Highway will serve to bypass the notorious Flatbridge area. Is Flatbridge haunted? Over the decades that have passed, Flatbridge has been plagued with numerous accounts of motor vehicle accidents. Too many to count. Motorists and residents will tell you tales that send shivers up your spine. They relate the countless times they have had to run to the aid of entrapped motorists. More intriguing, however, are the stories you will hear of those who had made it out alive. You will also hear of the slaves who had toiled and died at the hands of relentless slave masters during the construction of Flatbridge. It is said that these slaves returned from time to time to wreak vengeance for their demise. However, the law is quick to point out that many of the accidents are usually caused by reckless driving. Nonetheless, if you tell this to some people, they will laugh you to scorn. In particular, ones who live in the area and claim to have witnessed some of these events.
The gorge is a beautiful place, where people like the culture and all of the thing. But what? A lot of people are dying by the river.
Locals who believe the many stories will tell you the strange encounters and experiences that verge on the supernatural. You will hear of unusual mechanical failures, or of the river changing color to an eerie shade of green whenever it's about to claim a victim, suggesting that the bridge is indeed haunted. And guys, if you want to learn more about Flatbridge, there's a vlogger out there. She's called, her channel is called Zena Vlogs, and yeah, you can check out her channel. Whatever the truth may be or not be, it is certainly one of the most intriguing places in Jamaica. For the adventurous, you might want to add Flatbridge to your bucket list. And while there, remember to ask about that famous rock. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's a pleasure having you here. If you found this video interesting or informative, please let me know in the comment section down below. And give it a thumbs up while you're at it. Bless.
And stuff, and a lot of people getting killed by the river them time there, so we don't know if or what are the mermaid, but we see how some people come alongside by the river and sprinkles blood on them stuff in the river.
332 years ago, on the fateful morning of June 7th, 1692, an earthquake, said to be divine in nature, shattered the Eden estate in Landui, St. Thomas, burying homes and lives in a catastrophic landslide. This site, presently known as Judgement Cliff, carries with it a tale of divine retribution. But is this tale of divine retribution a mere myth or a monumental truth?
I was informed that they used to have a plantation up there, run by a serious, wicked slave master. Imposed draconian measures on the farmers, and one of the reasons why they resided on the cliff, that in case the slave wanted to run away, they would have difficulty in doing so.
Them say when it happens at night, well, what I really know, is they say a man, a rooster, and a bull save. The man gone out, gone wild. The rooster fly off of the roost. The bull broke down the pen, gone out, gone wild, same like the man. It was a plantation to people who lived there too. Everybody get covered out.
We believe it's a volcano, but it never did erupt. It comes from a tremor within the same time with Port Royal. The same year in Port Royal tremor, the same time that tremor really carried down that community. Henry Morgan did have a daughter, them say go down in it too. Because when you go on the top of the higher cliff, you can see straight to Port Royal.
Could Judgement Cliff be more than just a landslide site? Or could it be a volcano by any chance? Join us as we embark on this journey to uncover the hidden history of Judgement Cliff, separating fact from fiction, and uncovering the captivating story of this mysterious landmark. Located in Landui, close to the town of Yallahs in the parish of St. Thomas, Jamaica, Judgement Cliff stands as a reminder of the island's dynamic geological history and its rich tapestry of folklore. This imposing cliff, often shrouded in mystery and legend, offers both a striking natural landmark and a captivating story. The myth. According to local lore, the origins of Judgement Cliff are rooted in dramatic and divine retribution. On the morning of June 7, 1692, a devastating earthquake struck the region, causing a massive section of the cliff to break away. This catastrophic event led to the destruction of the Eden Estate, a prominent plantation owned by a man named Mr. James Bernard. Located near the base of the cliff in St. Thomas, the plantation was completely obliterated, with homes and fields buried under the landslide. The disaster claimed many lives, including those of Mr. Bernard's family and workers. Dr. Anza Sloan described the landslide in 1809, and this was published by Veniers Alexander Zanz in 1959, and I quote, "At Yallahs, a great mountain split and fell into the level land, covering several settlements and destroying 19 white people. One of the persons, whose name was Hopkins, had his plantation removed half a mile from where it formerly stood. And just to say this, the loss of life was likely higher, as the account primarily focuses on colonial settlers. In other research I see where it was over 400 people that actually died in this landslide." According to a commemorative plaque mounted by the Jamaican Historical Society in 1967, the face of the cliff is estimated to be 1,000 feet high, with the slipped mass containing 86 million cubic feet of rock and earth. The sheer scale of the catastrophe led the local population to interpret it as a form of divine judgment, a punishment for the sins of those living in the area. Thus the cliff earned its ominous name, Judgement Cliff. Over the centuries, this tale of divine retribution has been passed down through generations, adding a layer of mystique and a cautionary significance to the site. If you are intrigued by the story of Judgement Cliff, as I am, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating historical explorations. Your support really helps in bringing more content like this. So if you'd like to further support the channel, consider checking out the links in the description for ways to contribute. Now let's dive back into the story. The history. While the myth paints a dramatic picture, the true story of Judgement Cliff is equally fascinating, albeit more rooted in natural sciences. The earthquake of 1692 is a well-documented historical event that profoundly affected Jamaica. Records from the period describe the quake's intensity and the widespread damage it caused. This powerful quake, part of a series of seismic activities in the Caribbean region, caused significant geological disruptions, including the massive landslide that formed Judgement Cliff. Geologists and historians studying the cliff have noted that the area's geological features, characterized by its limestone composition and fault lines, make it particularly susceptible to landslides and earthquakes. The breakage of the cliff face was a natural consequence of these underlying conditions combined with the seismic activity of the time. The destruction of the Eden estate and the subsequent loss of life were tragic, but they also underscored the vulnerability of human settlements to the forces of nature. Detailed surveys and studies have helped piece together the events of that fateful day, providing a clearer understanding of the natural processes involved. While some Landura residents, including activist Horace Kirkpatrick Ogilvie, known as Patrick, are familiar with the story of Judgement Cliff, it remains largely unknown outside the parish. Many locals see it as just a story, as only few have ventured to the site due to fear or the challenging terrain. Patrick, who has frequently visited the area, is particularly fascinated by Brockway Spring, where the water gets cooler on hotter days. He believes that the land slippage may have been linked to a volcanic eruption, citing the type of rock found there as evidence.
I may believe that it was an earthquake which created a crater from a volcano, because if you check the terrain from the planting garden at the same one line, so they believe of a volcano, but it never did erupt, like lava never come up with the pressure, because you go over there and you look, and there is no other loam or other soil exists there, so it's just pure rocks. So therefore, it must some powerful pressure built over that. And if you check geography, then the volcano can trap in the core of the earth and anomaly come up, then when the pressure come out and shut down. So therefore, and they have an earthquake over this or rumble more anywhere in the place within the community.
So, is it a volcano? The question of whether Judgement Cliff could be a volcano has intrigued both locals and visitors. While there are no definitive records confirming volcanic activity at Judgement Cliff, some geological features and the local beliefs hint at this possibility. The predominant type of rock found in the area, particularly the presence of basalt, which is commonly associated with volcanic activity, adds some weight to this theory. Geologically, Judgement Cliff is primarily composed of limestone, a sedimentary rock typically formed in marine environments. However, the region's geological history is complex and includes a variety of rock types due to the tectonic activity that shaped the Caribbean. This activity could have included volcanic events in the distant past. Additionally, the presence of Brockway Spring, where the water reportedly gets cooler as the day gets hotter, might indicate geothermal activity, a common feature near volcanic areas. However, cooling springs can also occur due to other hydrogeological processes unrelated to volcanic activity. It is important to note that while the land slippage in 1692 was primarily caused by the earthquake, there is no concrete evidence linking it directly to volcanic activity. Most scientific studies attribute the landslide to the intense seismic shaking, which destabilized the cliff's limestone structure rather than to a volcanic eruption. While the idea of Judgement Cliff being a volcano is an intriguing part of local lore, current geological evidence does not support this theory. The area remains a fascinating subject for further study though, as understanding its full geological history could shed more light on the processes that shaped this dramatic landscape. Judgement Cliff today. Today, Judgement Cliff stands not just as a monument to natural disaster, but also a popular destination for hikers and history enthusiasts. The cliff offers breathtaking views of the lush landscape of St. Thomas and serves as a poignant reminder of the power of nature. Trails leading to the site allow visitors to explore the unique geological formations and the verdant scenery that surrounds the area. Informative plaques and guided tours often share the history and the legend of the cliff, enriching the visitor experience. Visitors to Judgement Cliff can also reflect on the blend of history and myth that surrounds the cliff, appreciating both the geological forces that shaped it and the cultural narratives that gives it meaning. Whether standing at the precipice, looking out over the rolling hills, or delving into the stories that have defined this remarkable place, Judgement Cliff continues to captivate and inspire all who visit.
High above the ocean deep, whispers of a lover's leap. Is it true or just a tale? Alex here with a leap, Jamaica sail. Clifftop views where lovers cry, underneath the clear blue sky. Legends say their hearts did bind, dive with us, the truth we'll find. Clifftop views where lovers cry, underneath the clear blue sky. Legends say their hearts did bind, dive with us, the truth we'll find. Lovers leap, fact or fiction, join us in this true depiction. A leap Jamaica set the scene, Alex here, the mystery's keen.
Have you ever heard the story of Lover's Leap in Jamaica? The tale goes that two enslaved lovers, determined to be together, ran away from their masters and leapt from a cliff to their deaths. But is there any truth to this story? Let's find out. It's around the year 1780, on the sprawling Yardley Chase sugar plantation in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica. The air is thick with the sweet scent of sugarcane, and the relentless sun beats down on the backs of the enslaved workers as they toil in the fields. Among them is Mitzi, a young woman whose beauty and grace have become the talk of the estate. Not far away, on a neighboring plantation, a tall, strong man named Tunki labors under equally harsh conditions. Despite the miles that separate their places of bondage, the two have found a way to defy their oppressors and fall deeply, hopelessly in love. But this is no ordinary love story. It is a tale of forbidden romance, of a desperate bid for freedom, and of a final, tragic leap into the unknown. This is the legend of Lover's Leap, a story that has captivated hearts for centuries, yet one that may be far more fiction than fact. Did Mitzi and Tunki truly exist? Did they really choose death over a life apart? Or is this simply a myth, romanticized and retold until it became part of Jamaica's cultural fabric? In this video, we are going to unravel the legend of Mitzi and Tunki at Lover's Leap, not only by exploring its historical and cultural significance, but by revealing its true origins. We'll trace how this Jamaican tale was influenced by a similar story from Virginia, shedding light on how legends travel and evolve. By the end, you won't just know the myth, you'll understand where it truly came from. If you enjoy videos like these and want to see more, please give this video a thumbs up. And guess what? We're on our way to 150,000 subscribers. So subscribe to the channel and let's accomplish this goal together. The enchanting legend of Mitzi and Tunki. The tale of Lover's Leap begins in the shadowy corners of history, during the height of Jamaica's brutal plantation era. It was a time when the island was one of the world's leading sugar producers. Its wealth built on the backs of enslaved Africans who were brought to the Caribbean in chains. According to the legend, Mitzi was one such enslaved woman. Her striking beauty was said to have caught the eye of many, including her master, the notorious Richard Childley. Richard Childley was a man of considerable power and influence. His plantation sprawled across hundreds of acres in the Santa Cruz Mountains, a region known for its steep cliffs and breathtaking views of the Caribbean Sea. But Childley was not content with the wealth and power he already had. He was obsessed with Mitzi. Determined to make her his concubine, Childley devised a plan to separate her from Tunki, the man she loved. Tunki worked on a neighboring plantation owned by Thomas, another ruthless master who was more concerned with profit than the well-being of those he enslaved. Despite the physical distance and the constant threat of punishment, Mitzi and Tunki found ways to meet in secret. They would steal away to the Yardley Chase cane fields at night, whispering dreams of a future where they would be free to love one another without fear. Their love was a dangerous thing. In a world where slaves were treated as property, the idea of two people daring to love each other, let alone escape together, was unthinkable. Yet Mitzi and Tunki were determined. They knew the risks, yet they couldn't bear the thought of being torn apart. So they made a plan. One night, when the moon was hidden behind thick clouds and the overseers were busy with the harvest, they would run. They would flee the plantations, cross the hills, and find freedom together, or die trying. That night came sooner than they expected. Chadley's obsession with Mitzi grew to a fever pitch, and when he learnt of her love for Tunki, his rage knew no bounds. He ordered his men to capture Tunki, intending to punish him severely, sell him to another plantation owner, and then claim Mitzi for himself. But the lovers caught wind of the plan. There was no time to waste. They had to flee. They ran through the night, hearts pounding, feet aching, as they made their way to the cliffs of the Santa Cruz Mountains. The journey was treacherous, the path steep and narrow, but they pressed on, driven by the hope of freedom. When they finally reached the edge of the cliff, they could hear the shouts of the overseers and the clatter of hooves drawing closer. With no other choice, they made the ultimate decision. Hand in hand, they stepped off the cliff, their love immortalized in the fall. It is said that this is how the cliff became known as Lover's Leap, and so the story of Mitzi and Tunki was passed down through generations. It became a symbol of love and sacrifice, a tale that captured the hearts of all who heard it. But is it true? Unraveling the truth. Myth versus reality. The legend of Mitzi and Tunki is undeniably captivating. But as with many tales, the deeper you dig, the more questions arise. So let's sift through the evidence or lack thereof and separate the myth from the reality. The geographical reality of Lover's Leap. Lover's Leap, located in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, is renowned for its breathtaking views and dramatic landscape. The cliff stands at a height of about 1,700 feet, offering a panoramic view of the Caribbean Sea. However, the geographical features described in the legend need closer scrutiny. The area around Lover's Leap includes a historic building and a lighthouse, adding to the site's allure. Behind the cliff is a considerable slope extending approximately 3 miles down to the water. This slope is not a sheer drop, but a gradual incline that would significantly impact a fall. Instead of a direct plunge into the sea, a person falling from Lover's Leap would likely tumble down the slope, potentially hitting ledges and rocks along the way. This would result in severe injuries rather than a swift death, challenging the romanticized narrative of an instant leap into the sea. Moreover, early maps and descriptions of the Santa Cruz Mountains, used by Maroon communities and later settlers, make no mention of any such tragic event or the cliff's association with the tale of doomed lovers. The fact that the Lover's Leap story does not appear in early records or folklore suggests that it may be a much later invention, one designed to romanticize the natural beauty of the area and draw visitors with its dramatic narrative. To get an idea of the closest plantations to Lover's Leap that Mitzi and the Tunki might have been able to run from, you'll need to consider both the historical context and the geography of the area. Lover's Leap is located near the town of Treasure Beach in St. Elizabeth. So here are some of the plantations that would have been relatively close. Number 1, the Newell Estate. Located to the northeast of Lover's Leap, this plantation would have been among the closer ones. It's about a 10 to 15 mile distance, depending on the specific route taken. This plantation, however, was owned by William James Rhodes at the time, not Richard Chardley. Number 2, Black River Estate. Situated a bit further west along the Black River, this plantation is also relatively close. The distance is roughly 15 to 20 miles. However, this plantation was owned by Margaret Edwards, a female, so this one is out of the question. And number 3, Treasure Beach Estate, near to Lover's Leap itself. This estate would have been in the immediate vicinity and could potentially have been among the plantations involved. However, this plantation never had over 15 slaves at any given time, and the records are available, and there is no mention of escaped slaves who jumped to their deaths. Also, the Yardley Chase plantation was not at any time owned by Richard Chardley. It was actually owned by John C. Bayliss. And another fact we need to take a closer look at. You see, a lot of the plantations are the estates in St. Elizabeth and Manchester. They were owned by females, and especially the ones in St. Elizabeth, most of them were brothels. For when these slave masters or these planters were heading from Westmoreland to St. Catherine, Portland, or St. Thomas, because the middle of Jamaica never really farm up, they never really had plantations because of the hill and valleys. They mostly plant and farm where they had flatlands. So most of the places are the houses in these areas, because when you look at the map, because you don't know me of the map, when we look at the map, we see all of these places, but they are houses. Some of these females never had more than 1 or 2 slaves, the most 10. Alright, and these were treated as brothels where they would accommodate the male passerbys when them pass to go in other parishes, if you understand what I say. So a lot of these areas would have been out of the question. Alright, yeah man. So anyway, back to the video. Given the rough estimate of travel time according to the story, which would be around 5 hours, this plantation would be a plausible location from which a desperate escape could lead to Lover's Leap. It would have required significant effort and endurance, however, to cover such distances on foot, especially for worn-out, underfed slaves. And records from the Newell Estate, Black River Estate, and the Treasure Beach Estate, which were among the closest plantations to Lover's Leap, do not indicate any incidents similar to Lover's Leap legend involving Mitzi and Tunki. During the colonial era, what we need to understand is that during the colonial era, the colonial office and the plantation owners meticulously maintained records, though they sometimes contained inaccuracies like altered numbers or dates. An extraordinary event like lovers leaping from a cliff would certainly have been recorded due to its dramatic nature and potential impact. Given the comprehensive nature of these records and the absence of any mention of such an event, it is unlikely that the Lover's Leap story, as recounted in the legend, even occurred. So, where the Lover's Leap story really comes from?
Experience the ultimate entertainment with our premium IPTV services in Jamaica.
I'll get back to the video.
Enjoy instant access to over 17,000 live TV channels, including popular local channels like TVJ and CVM, as well as a wide range of international HD, UHD, and 4K channels. Whether you are a fan of news, sports, movies, or TV series, our service offers an unparalleled viewing experience. Dive into a vast library of over 50,000 of the latest movies and TV series in stunning 4K and HD quality. Our user-friendly platform ensures you never miss a moment of your favorite shows, providing a seamless and high-quality streaming experience. Elevate your home entertainment with the best IPTV service in Jamaica, bringing you closer to the content you love, anytime, anywhere. Join thousands of satisfied customers and transform the way you watch TV today.
And remember guys, you can try this out for free for as long as you want. And if you decide to purchase it, then you can get 75% off by using code ELITEJA. Alright, back to the video. So yeah, let's take a look at the origins of the Lover's Leap story. The story likely has deeper roots than many realize. The iconic Jamaican tale appears to have its origins in a similar story from Virginia, United States, dating back to the 17th century. In the Virginia legend, a native slave boy and a slave girl, facing the impossibility of their union due to the girl's parents, decided to jump from a cliff rather than live apart. The striking parallels between this earlier tale and the Jamaican version, where a young enslaved couple, forbidden by the plantation owner to be together, also chose death over separation, are too significant to ignore. Okay guys, so I just found this information while editing, so I just had to put it in. Also, we see that in Derbyshire, in England, there is a story about Lover's Leap. The tale centers on a tragic event that took place in the 1700s, when a woman named Anna Badali, heartbroken over her forbidden love for William Barnsley, leapt from a cliff to her death. William did not join her in the leap, however, making her tragic end all the more poignant. This legend is one of many similar tales from around the world, where lovers' leaps are woven into local myths, from Scotland to the United States. It is believed that these stories, including the one from Derbyshire, influenced the later creation of the Lover's Leap legend in Jamaica, showing how such powerful narratives of love and loss can transcend borders and cultures. The Virginia story also predates the Jamaican legend by several decades, almost a century, suggesting that the Jamaican narrative may have been adopted and reshaped by enslaved Africans in Jamaica, who found in it a powerful reflection of their own struggles and emotional realities. As these stories traveled across the Atlantic, they transformed, taking on new meanings in different contexts, but always expressing a universal longing for love and freedom. The fact that the Jamaican Lover's Leap story might have been inspired by the earlier Virginia tale highlights the way legends migrate and evolve, connecting distant cultures through shared human experiences. The story places Mitzi and Tunki on plantations owned by two men, Richard Chidley and Thomas. And I do not have a first name or a last name for Thomas. I don't know if Thomas is first name or his last name, who supposedly lived during the height of the sugar industry in Jamaica. However, a thorough review of plantation records from the St. Elizabeth area reveals no mention of a Richard Chidley or a Thomas owning plantations that fit the descriptions given in the legend. The absence of these names in the historical record raises doubts about the existence of the main characters in the Lover's Leap story. Also, as mentioned earlier, the majority of estates were small and owned by females. Plantation records from the 18th century, while not always complete, often included detailed accounts of the enslaved people living and working on these estates. Such records would likely have documented any notable incidents involving enslaved people, especially dramatic events like an escape attempt or tragic death. The lack of such documentation for Mitzi and the Tunki suggests that their story might have been invented or heavily embellished after the fact. The legacy of Lover's Leap. Despite its questionable origins, the legend of Lover's Leap has left a significant cultural impact. It has become a symbol of love and sacrifice, a narrative woven into Jamaica's tourism and folklore. The story attracts visitors seeking to experience the romance and drama associated with the site, contributing to the local economy and cultural heritage. This enduring appeal highlights how legends can shape our understanding of history, even when the facts are elusive. Lover's Leap stands as a testament to the power of storytelling in creating lasting symbols and attracting interest. However, separating the myth from the reality helps us appreciate the true history of Jamaica's plantation era and the complexities of its past. A myth, but a powerful one. So, where does that really leave us? The story of Mitzi and Tunki, like many legends, is more a product of imagination than historical reality. Yet, despite its dubious origins, the tale has endured, capturing the imaginations of those who hear it and solidifying its place in the cultural lore of Jamaica. While it may not be rooted in historical fact, the story of Lover's Leap speaks to deeper truths about love, sacrifice, and the human spirit's unyielding quest for freedom, even if those truths are expressed through the lens of myth. In many ways, the Lover's Leap story reflects the resilience and creativity of a people who, in the face of unspeakable hardships, used storytelling as a means of preserving hope and identity. The tale of Mitzi and the Tunki, though fictional, resonates with the themes of struggle and resistance that are central to the Jamaican experience, particularly during the era of slavery. It is a story that, despite its lack of historical veracity, offers a symbolic victory over the oppression of the past, a triumph of love and agency over cruelty and subjugation. But as we have seen, it's essential to approach such stories with a critical eye. Understanding the distinction between myth and history allows us to appreciate the cultural significance of the legend, while also recognizing the importance of accurate historical scholarship. In debunking the myth of Lover's Leap, we do not aim to diminish its power as a piece of folklore. Rather, we try to elevate our understanding of how and why such stories are created, and what they tell us about the societies that produce them. So here are some questions we need to consider. Why do you think the story of Mitzi and Tunki has endured for so long, even without historical evidence? How do myths like Lover's Leap contribute to our understanding of cultural identity and memory? And what are other myths or legends from Jamaican history that could benefit from a similar examination of fact versus fiction? Let me know in the comment section down below. And that will also let me know that you are still here watching up until this moment. Alright? So yeah, the story of Lover's Leap is a testament to the enduring power of narrative. It reminds us that even in the absence of concrete evidence, stories can shape cultural identity and collective memory in very profound ways. As we continue to explore and document the rich tapestry of Jamaica's history, it's important to honor these tales for what they are: windows into the hopes, fears, and dreams of those who came before us, even if they are not literal truths. And so, the next time you stand on the cliffs of Lover's Leap, gazing out over the vast expanse of the Caribbean Sea, remember the tale of Mitzi and Tunki. But also remember that the true history of this place and the people who lived and loved here is likely more complex, more nuanced, and more deeply human than any single story could ever capture. By seeking out that truth, we honor the real lives and struggles of those who lived in this land, ensuring that their stories, both the factual and the fictional, are remembered and understood in all their richness and depth. If you
Walking by the Yallahs Pond, blue skies all around, history in the air we breathe, in St. Thomas ground. I lead Jamaica's here with you, Alex shows the way. Stories from the days gone by, old meets new today. Come along with me, feel the island breeze, discover St. Thomas, where history never leaves.
Have you ever heard about the Yallahs Ponds in St. Thomas, Jamaica? If you haven't, then you don't want to miss this video. For those familiar with the ponds, how many of the stories have you heard, and which one do you believe? Let me know in the comment section down below. St. Thomas, Jamaica, is a place where the natural world intertwines seamlessly with a rich tapestry of history, culture, and folklore. Nestled in the southeastern corner of the island, this parish is a treasure trove of stories, where every hill and valley whispers the tales of the past. From the mesmerizing vistas of its mountains to the soothing waves of its beaches, St. Thomas holds within its borders a unique blend of natural beauty and historical significance. But no story of St. Thomas is complete without delving into its myths and mysteries, and none is more fascinating than the tale of the Yallahs Ponds. These ponds, steeped in legends of love, betrayal, and supernatural forces, have captured the imaginations of locals and visitors alike. However, before we dive into the enigmatic story of Yallahs Ponds, let's take a moment to explore the stunning historical sites of St. Thomas. After all, a video about St. Thomas wouldn't be complete without a tour of its most captivating landmarks. So let's embark on this journey through the parish, discovering the historical gems and the natural wonders that make St. Thomas a place of endless fascination. It is only fitting to showcase the beauty and history of this remarkable parish before unraveling one of its most intriguing legends. Named after Thomas the Apostle, St. Thomas is truly a nature lover's paradise. This lush parish is adorned with verdant vegetation, pristine beaches, swamps, morasses, rivers, and waterfalls. The cloud-shrouded mountain ranges, including sections of the famous Blue Mountains, offer hiking trails that challenge and reward adventurers. Among its many natural wonders is the therapeutic Bath Fountain, known for its healing mineral waters, and the nearby Bath Botanical Garden, the second oldest in the Western Hemisphere, which offers a serene escape into nature's embrace. As we venture further into the parish, in the quiet community of Hillside, lies one of the most popular attractions in Jamaica, Reggae Falls. This majestic waterfall is not only a sight to behold, but also a place of tranquility. The thundering waters create a powerful yet soothing ambience, offering a blissful escape from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. The falls, though fairly new, has become one of the most well-known falls on the island. This waterfall has a charm that resonates with those who seek the road less traveled. Grandpa Falls, another hidden gem, adds to the allure of St. Thomas. Tucked away in the rural community of Trinityville, my community, this waterfall remains largely undiscovered by the masses, providing a serene and untouched experience for those who venture to find it. The falls are right next to the river. Although man-made, this falls makes the perfect spot for nature enthusiasts and those looking to connect with the raw beauty of Jamaica. White Horses, a community with a name as magical as its reality, may not have actual white horses roaming its fields, but the sight of the sea's white waves galloping towards the shore is a spectacle in itself. These white horses of the sea inspired the name and continue to mesmerize all who witness them. Nearby, the striking white cliffs invite photographers and sightseers alike. These natural formations, set against the backdrop of the blue Caribbean Sea, provide a dramatic and picturesque view that is nothing short of breathtaking. Another must-visit spot is the Morant Point Lighthouse, Jamaica's easternmost point. The lighthouse, standing tall at the edge of a pristine pinkish sand beach, offers panoramic views of the ocean. However, the road to this historic site runs through private property, making it a bit of an adventure to reach.
I'm a search for it, and trust me peeps, it wasn't a normal search to find this. What are you?
Jada, my name now.
Jada?
Okay.
Yeah. And okay, lighthouse. So the building over there, son, that was the original building, that one go up on the water.
Yeah, they said one race to be that one. Burn get burned down.
Oh,
yeah. Fire, yeah.
Okay. It's amazing to all the things that are close to water always get burned down. Because we got St. Mary the other day, and the courthouse in St. Mary, you know, so fire burn it down. The fire station right almost next door.
Know that. So we just met the one inside, but we don't know the running there, the patch up. I have to know what kind of media you have if you make a one picture, what kind of media you have to put it.
A little bit,
Alright,
as you know, guys, it's an educational video.
when you go on the top,
Yeah.
you can walk, there's a balcony, you can walk and come out.
Guys, this is
Yeah.
history, guys. Important piece of history. This, when you know afraid of heights, right now, who's scared? Me? I'm not scared anymore. I mean, friend?
No, sir.
Let me see your phone. I'll just wait for you. Yeah, guys, so that obviously is the center, the battery that works the light on the lighthouse. And that's the step that we just came up. Alright, I'm wipe off the camera, peeps. Alright, guys, so yeah, that's the battery over there. That's the battery over there, guys. Alright, so the step there. And yeah, we'll go up some more step. Yeah, peeps. Nico, come up, Nico, afraid of heights. Yeah, guys, so go up again. Up again, guys. Guys, I'm afraid, like, I feel like the lighthouse a shake, peeps. I'm going to go up and see from the top floor, this, guys. I'm afraid right now, I swear. And I know I'm afraid of heights, that's what I said. But now I forgot that, sir.
For those seeking a more accessible beach experience, License Beach, located on the outskirts of Morant Bay, provides a beautiful alternative. Recently rehabilitated and managed by a tourism agency, this beach is a perfect spot for relaxation and enjoyment. And guess what? It's free, you can go over there, is it? License also carries its own historical significance. Named after Nicholas License, a 17th century plantation owner and member of the Jamaica Assembly. On a mound overlooking the beach, you will find a small yet significant cemetery. Here lie the remains of Alton Hope Phillips, a former custos of the parish, his wife, Phyllis Josephine, J.H. Phillips, another former custos and member of the Legislative Council, and the renowned Simon Taylor and his brother, John Taylor. Originally interred at Vale Royal, formerly Prospect Penn Estate in St. Andrew, Simon and John Taylor bodies were exhumed and reburied at License when the property changed hands. Simon Taylor. Alright, so that's who we're looking for. This is to the memory of Honorable J.H. Phillips, Honorable J.H. Phillips, Member Legislative Council 1918 to 1929, and the Custos Rotoloron for the parish of St. Thomas, born 31st of July 1360, died 25th of April 1933. Alright, so this guys is J.H. Phillips, and we see out there it's Phillips Avenue. Alright, so we'll move on to the next one. This says in memory of Honorable Alton O. Phillips, Custos, parish of St. Thomas, born 1963 to 1974. Moving on, guys. This is really a rather huge find, guys. Alright, so this in loving memory of Phyllis Josephine, wife of the Honorable H. Phillips, Custos of the parish of St. Thomas. Okay, she died in 1968. Let's look at this other one over here, guys. This says in loving memory of Jessie, wife of the Honorable J.H. Phillips, died 10th of September 1922. Alright, guys, so we got the Phillips over here, and now we've got the loving memory of our beloved mother Charles Hope Levi. Our beloved brother Charles Hope Levi died on 29th of January 1927, age 70. Alright, guys, so this is the cemetery. Now we'll check out that grave over here, so guys, where we actually pass it. Alright, so this here lie the remains of the Honorable Simon Taylor, guys. This is the grave of Simon Taylor, guys. A loyal subject, a firm friend, and a honest man. Back in Morant Bay, the capital of St. Thomas, stands the St. Thomas Parish Church, a symbol of resilience and history. Embedded in its eastern wall is a brick bearing the year 1865, a poignant reminder of the Morant Bay Uprising, a significant event in Jamaica's struggle for social justice. The church, with its weathered walls, stands as a silent witness to the flames that once engulfed the courthouse and other buildings during the rebellion led by Paul Bogle and his followers. Historical ruins of St. Thomas. There is also a set of ruins at the back of the courthouse, which is the 1865 Memorial Gardens, established on the ruins of the Morant Bay Fort, which was built around 1758 to accommodate 9 mounted guns. That fort was one of many, including Fort Lindsay, extensively repaired in 1790 and was placed on the island's list of forts in 1799, and Fort William, built around 1675 to defend the harbour at Port Morant. These forts were constructed in St. Thomas to protect the island from possible invasions from the French. Now, St. Thomas is dotted with historical ruins that tell tales of Jamaica's colonial past. Among these are the ruins of the Stokes Hall Great House, a grand mansion once belonging to the Stokes family. The story of the Stokes family begins shortly after the British invasion of Jamaica in 1655, when Oliver Cromwell invited settlers to the newly conquered island. Bernard Baker, originally from Nevis, was the first to accept the offer, bringing his family to Jamaica in October 1656. He later encouraged Luke Stokes, then governor of Nevis, to join him. The Stokes family established the Stokesfield and the Stokesall estates in the Portmorant area, but the mansion was severely damaged in the 1907 earthquake, leaving behind hauntingly beautiful ruins. The parish is also home to several other historical sites, such as Stony Gut, the birthplace of national hero Paul Bogle, and Orange Park, a coffee plantation great house that now serves as a museum. The area around Old Pira, once a bustling town and now a quiet fishing village, holds the remnants of the former Bowden Wharf, a key shipping point during the height of the sugar trade. Venturing further into the mountains, the Kuna Kuna Pass and the Cornpuss Gap offers challenging yet rewarding hiking experiences, where history and nature intertwine. These trails were once used by the Maroons, the island's escaped slaves who created their own free communities in the mountains, and they remain parts of both historical significance and natural beauty. As for the Three Finger Jack Monument, its legacy still lingers in the minds of many. The monument commemorates Jack Mansong, a notorious escaped slave and legendary figure who was said to have terrorized the region with his band of followers. Though the monument itself may have faded into obscurity, the story of Three Finger Jack remains an integral part of St. Thomas' rich tapestry of history. St. Thomas is more than just a destination. It's a journey through time, nature, and culture. So whether you are exploring its untouched natural beauty or delving into its storied past, this parish offers a unique and unforgettable experience that captivates the imagination and stirs the soul. Now, let us explore the myths of the Yallahs Pond, rich with the emotions of love, betrayal, and the supernatural wrath. And then we will peel back the layers to reveal the true story behind the Yallahs Pond. The myths. Number 1. The Tale of the Brothers. Now picture a time long ago, when the land around Yallahs was lush and bountiful, passed down through generations as a precious gift. Two brothers, proud and stubborn, inherited this land upon their father's passing. But rather than seeing it as a blessing, they saw it as a battleground. Greed gnawed at their hearts, and what began as a mere disagreement over boundaries quickly escalated into a bitter feud. Day and night, their voices echoed across the hills, filled with venomous accusations and threats. The land, once fertile and green, seemed to shrink beneath the weight of their hatred. Then one fateful evening, as the brothers' quarrel reached a fever pitch, the earth itself shuddered, as if in agony. The ground beneath them gave way, swallowing their fields, their dreams, and their legacy. The once rich soil was replaced by a pond, its waters stained dark brown, as if to forever mark the greed that tore their family apart. To this day, locals say that when the wind blows just right, you can hear the brothers' angry shouts carried on the breeze, a reminder of the land lost to their endless strife. Number 2. The Lover's Tragedy. Now, let us turn to a tale of love, forbidden and doomed from the start. In a time when the Yallahs region was ruled by two powerful families, a young man and woman, heirs to these rival dynasties, found themselves drawn to each other. Their love was pure, but it was also dangerous, for their families harbored an ancient grudge. Under the cover of darkness, the lovers would meet by a small secluded pond, far from the watchful eyes of their kin. But secrets like theirs have a way of coming to light. One night, as they whispered sweet promises by the water's edge, they were discovered. The wrath of their families was swift and merciless. A battle erupted, not just of swords, but of spiteful words and deadly curses. The pond, once a sanctuary, became the epicenter of their rage. As blood was shed, the earth trembled and split. the tranquil waters swelling to consume the land around them. The lovers too were lost to the depths, their souls entwined forever in the brown waters of Yallahs Pond. Locals say that on moonlit nights, you can still see their ghostly figures near the pond. Forever searching for a peace they were denied in life. Number 3. The Curse of the Shaman. Our final tale is one of divine retribution, a story that begins with the people of Yallahs living in harmony with the land, under the watchful eye of a powerful shaman. The shaman, a guardian of nature's balance, ensured that the land was respected, its resources shared fairly among the people. But as time passed, the villagers grew complacent. They took more than they needed, desecrating sacred grounds and draining the life from the land. Angered by their greed and neglect, the shaman issued a dire warning: return to the old ways, or the land will rise against you. His words, however, fell on deaf ears. In a final act of desperation, the shaman called upon the spirits of the earth and water. The ground quaked, the skies darkened, and with a thunderous roar, the land began to sink. What was once fertile ground became the Yallahs Pond, its salt waters a lasting scar upon the earth, a testament to the shaman's curse. Well, I've never heard this one before doing the research for this video, so if anyone has ever heard this myth before about the Yallahs Pond, let me know in the comment section down below. Now, let us try to debunk these myths. Debunking the myths. As mesmerizing as these stories are, the true story of Yallahs Pond is just as compelling, rooted in the powerful natural forces that have shaped Jamaica's landscape over a millennium. Geological formation. Contrary to the tales of curses and battles, Yallahs Pond was formed through a series of natural events. The area around Yallahs is geologically active, with shifting tectonic plates that have caused the land to sink gradually over time. Combined with coastal erosion and the occasional storm surge, what was once dry land slowly transformed into a pond. Salinity explained. The unusual salinity of Yallahs Pond can be traced to its unique geographical features. The pond is situated near the coast, where underground saline springs seep into the water, mixing with the fresh water that feeds into the pond. Over time, the balance of salt and fresh water tipped, especially during periods of drought when freshwater sources dwindled. The result is a pond with a salinity level much higher than typical freshwater bodies, and even salter than the ocean nearby, creating a unique ecosystem that has fascinated scientists and locals alike. Far from being cursed, Yallahs Pond is a natural wonder, a product of the intricate dance between land, water, and time. So Yallahs Pond is a place where myth and reality converge, where the stories of the past meet the science of the present. The myths remind us of the cultural richness and the deep connection people feel to the land, while the true story offers a window into the natural forces that continue to shape our world. So whether you are drawn to the haunting legends or the fascinating geology, Yallahs Pond is a place of mystery and beauty, deserving of the reverence it has inspired for generations. If you found this video interesting or informative, or if you learned anything from this video, please let me know in the comment section down below. Also give the video a thumbs up, please, that really helps the channel. And if you haven't yet subscribed to Elite Jamaica, consider doing so by clicking the subscribe button. That's the subscribe button in a white right above the video or below the video. Yeah, and when you do that, you're gonna see the bell icon. Click that to turn on notifications so that whenever time I upload a new video, you'll be one of the first to be notified. Because me realize me have over 150,000 subscribers, but only like 6,000 people I get notification whenever time you upload a new video. So if you're hearing this, guys, let me know that you're still here, and also turn on the notification if you haven't done so before. Alright, blessings, y'all stay safe, walk good, until next time, thank you for watching.